Hello and welcome to the mappFramework tutorial video for mappRecipe. In this video, you will learn what features are included in the recipe framework, what gets imported, and the required modifications to fully integrate the framework into your application. The mappRecipe framework comes with the infrastructure to set up two distinct recipe files with a structure variable registered to each. The recipe system is set up in XML format with easy conversion steps to CSV. The ability to save recipes to a USB drive is built in. The optional map view frontend includes the ability to preview and edit a recipe without formally loading it. As time goes on, additional features may be added to the mappRecipe framework. Be sure to check out the help file of the latest version to see the full list of current features. The steps to import a mappFramework component are described in the overview video at the top of this playlist. If you haven't already watched that video, please do so now. After import, a recipe package will now appear within the infrastructure package of the logical view. The corresponding recipe manager task contains a number of files, which we will now go through one by one. RecipeManager.st is the main task code which sets up the map function blocks, registers the structure variables to the two recipes, loads the default recipes, and calls all actions. Next, we have the local type and variable definition files. Within the type file, you must modify the structure types of the registered variables to suit the needs of the application. Parameters_type holds the product data, and machine settings_type holds the machine settings or commissioning data. To start, placeholder data has been included in these structures. The Hmi Actions file contains the supporting code for Hmi functionality, such as previewing and editing recipes. In general, this file handles all recipe commands coming from the Hmi. Lastly, file operations contains the file handling code for copying recipes between the user partition and a USB drive. Also included in the recipe package is the localizable text file where recipe alarm text is defined. A user partition package is added which contains the default recipe files. These must be transferred or copied to the mappRecipe file device. By default, this file device corresponds to a recipe folder on the user partition. Both the XML and CSV format of the default recipe files are provided. Only the files that are copied to the root directory of the file device will be loaded by the recipe system. By default, these are the XML versions of the files. If you imported the map view frontend, then relevant content files are included in the framework package within the pages package. You will need to assign the recipe content to an area on a page within your visualization. Then, on the two preview contents, you must change the text on the labels and the variable bindings on the inputs and outputs according to the structure elements you want to display from your recipe. This must then be repeated on the edit content and create new content. The localizable text required for the Hmi is included within the mappFramework texts package. If you did not import the map view frontend, then connect the Hmi recipe variable structure elements to your visualization. Moving on to the configuration view, a recipe package gets added to the map services package. Here you see both an XML and CSV configuration file. Both versions of the recipe configuration file are provided in order to make it easy to switch between the XML and CSV implementation if desired. Only one of these configuration files is activated on the target at runtime. A file manager configuration is also included here. Next, a modular OPC-UA default view file will be added to the connectivity package. The TMX files used by the recipe framework will be merged into the TMX files for target list in the text configuration. Some users and roles are added to the corresponding files within the user role system. All default user passwords are 1, 2, 3, capital A, capital B, lowercase c, and should be changed after importing the framework. If you imported the mappView frontend, a recipe package will be added to the mappView package, which includes all binding and event binding files necessary for the recipe framework. The items required for the recipe framework will be merged into the .viz file you selected during import. Lastly, in the CPU configuration, a few things are changed as well. If your user partition is less than 256 MB, the value is increased as such. A file device is merged to the file device list. If you imported mappView and OPCUA is not yet enabled, this will be enabled for you. In addition to the required modifications, there are some optional modifications that you may want to consider. For example, you may want to switch to the CSV format or update the file device to something other than the user partition. For more details, refer to the corresponding section in the help. The map recipe content can be viewed immediately after project installation via the framework demo page in mappView. Here, you can preview and edit recipes without having to formally load them first. Use the category dropdown to switch between the parameter recipes and the machine settings recipes. Note that the ability to create, delete, load, or edit a recipe on the mappView HMI is restricted to the administrator's role. The default administrative user is admin with the default password of 123, capital A, capital B, lowercase c. To demonstrate this here, I have also imported the map userx framework. And with that, we conclude our overview of the map recipe framework. Please feel free to check out the additional map framework tutorial videos within this playlist.